Hi, I'm Debbie Goodman, and this is Martial Arts Mania. I was fortunate enough to get Don the Dragon Wilson for another interview. Don, I understand you've been really busy. You just wrapped Martial Arts Kid. I've seen the teaser trailer. It looks fabulous.
It's a very good film. It should look fabulous. The entire film's going to be good. I actually have not seen all the footage,
Uh-huh.
but what I have seen, I usually work on the editing of the fight scenes.
Okay.
And when I
Oh.
first went into the editing room, I kind of started editing them the way I would normally do it, which is highlighting the violence. And then I realized it's not an R-rated movie. This is a family film, and I realized you can't go for the close-ups of the face smashing and the heads and the kicks. So yeah, I kind of followed the editor's lead and just I did a few adjustments. Certain kicks I liked a certain way, certain punches, but pretty much it was they pretty much put it together the fight scenes very well in this film.
So, did everything go off pretty well? Did you have any glitches along the way, or?
There's always glitches that are going to happen on a film set, and in this case, it was the weather in Florida. We
Oh,
shot the exteriors in Florida, which means we're at the mercy of the weather.
right.
And in Florida, it rains every single day,
Oh
sometimes
my.
2 and 3 times a day. Yeah, during that season that we were there. And I'm from Florida, but I had forgotten that aspect of Florida living tropical climate.
Uh-huh.
But no, we found ways to work around it. They always had secondary and locations set up so that if that day we came out to shoot a beach scene,
Uh-huh.
it would turn into an auditorium scene. And uh, they were very professional, the crew there, and Michael Baumgarten, the director, and my brother as a producer, they worked real well together. I got to see them working, as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, directors and producers, they're like fighting with
Oh,
each other.
yes. Oh, yes.
But in this case, it was not. They got along, and it was just a wonderful experience.
That's great. So, do you have anything else in the works that you can talk about?
Yeah, I'm working right now on a film. It's a cop actioner with a twist.
Okay.
And, I promised I wasn't really going to use the word expendables, but it's kind of a lower budget of it because we're
Okay.
going to have all the B movie action stars that you've seen in it. So, in that regard, it's an action film and it will have not one star because we each used to carry our own films, but now with all of us together, we're hoping that it will have the same success they had with the Expendables. They've got all the action stars, A-list guys: Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis,
Wow.
Harrison Ford, Wesley Snipes, Sylvester Stallone. They're all in Expendables, and with ours, we'll have all the B-movie people that you're used to: Richard Norton, Cynthia Rothrock, Michael Dudikoff, just on and on. As many of them as we can fit on the screen.
A lot of my friends in Fresno have seen photos of you, recent photos,
Hmm.
and the last interview we did, which was about 3 months ago,
Hmm.
and they all argue that you can't be anywhere near 60, that you look like a kid. That's how they describe you. I said, he looks like a kid. So I want to know, what is it you're doing? Besides, obviously, you work out. Okay.
Yeah, but that's not an anti-aging necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Matter of fact, my lifestyle as an athlete ages you faster. If you're a fighter, you're under a certain kind of stress, mental stress, and most fighters age faster than the average population.
Okay.
And but for me, I eliminated a lot of the negative aspects of the fight game. One of them being the stress,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of the worst things you can do for your health
Uh,
is to live under
unlimited,
stress.
yeah.
I mean, because we're civilized, we live under conditions where we have the flight or fight chemicals going through our bodies for days and weeks because we're worried about jobs and we're worried about business deals and things.
Mm-hmm.
And so normally in the wild, or when we were evolving, you'd only be worried when you hear a saber-toothed tiger outside.
Right.
As soon as it's gone, you're not worried again. You're back to just looking for food to eat and things. But today, because of civilization, we think and worry about things way off in the future,
Mm-hmm.
that we live under a constant state of stress. And that's why people, I think, no matter if you eat good and exercise and do everything right, if you're under stress, it's going to lower your immune system. It's going to uh, age you, basically. there's an old samurai saying, supposedly, because I never met a samurai, but that they wake up and they say today is a good day to die,
Yeah,
and they have
that's
to
even-
enter the battle. Now, not that they're looking to get killed that day because they're going to fight
right.
their heart out, but it's like this might be the day. Rather than stress out over it though and die 1,000 deaths, if you accept that could happen, then you only die one death. Whereas a coward, a person who lives in fear, is under a constant state of, they say they die 1,000 deaths. They go through it daily,
Every day,
minute by minute, whatever, worrying and worrying. And I learned to kind of accept things, even negative things, as a fighter, because when you step into the ring to fight, now the odds are you're not going to die, but people do die in the ring.
Yeah.
And they do get brain damage, and you do get physical pain. That's not like an iffy thing. You are going to at least in my game, when you punch and kick each other, you can't get through 12 rounds with another great fighter without suffering damage. So you have to be prepared for it mentally. And I believe I mentally prepared myself, and now I do it in my regular daily life. I don't let too many things stress me out. And if there is a secret, that's one of them. It's a matter of experimentation for me. I didn't have a doctor watching me. I started taking food supplements on my own, just taking different ones. And, no scientific thing. I just go by the way I feel.
Yeah.
I take it for a
Absolutely.
certain length of time. I give it at least a few months, though, 3 or 4 months. And if I'm not feeling anything negative, well, if I felt something negative, I'd stop immediately.
Yeah.
But I try to feel what my body feels like while I'm taking it. And I can tell you right now, in the last few months, I'm really feeling much physically stronger than I did, say, 6 months ago to a year ago. And I'm certain it's the supplements I've been taking. It's really a scary thing for me because as a professional fighter, I fought 28 years.
Wow.
And I've got a lot of, that's just as a professional fighter, but I've been training, even after I retired in 2002, I've been training a lot. Now, if I was to spar, the hardest thing about sparring now is how can I get a good workout without hurting the other guy and without allowing the other guy to hurt me? Because what I used to do is I used to just turn everything, any thought of protecting him off. And I said, these 16-ounce gloves and his headgear is going to be, that better protect him. And I just went all out when I sparred. Now, if I was to do that, I would be damaging my sparring partners. And but I don't want to get hit, right? So I can't go so easy that I get hit. So it's like a juggling thing. It's really, it added a different level of difficulty to me sparring anybody, because if I spar them, I don't want to hit them with my really good stuff, because if I do, I'm going to hurt them. And but I don't want to get hurt myself. So it's a juggling act. I got to be a little bit aggressive to my sparring partners, but not so much that I hurt them. But then again, not so little that I get hit. And that's my problem. My main concern is how do I juggle those two objectives when I spar.
Now, when you used to go in to the ring to fight, you're not angry when you walk in.
Oh, no.
You're
No.
very, the mind is cool. But is there a point in the fight where anger kicks in, maybe?
It has not during the course of any fight of mine, except when the fighter breaks the rules.
Okay.
Now I had a guy.
That's interesting.
I had a guy bite my ear.
Oh my
Now,
gosh.
When he bit my ear, I wasn't really thinking about the decision or about winning or nothing. I just went all out and just opened up on him, and I threw a bunch of shots and ended up knocking him out. And that wasn't part of my strategy. As a matter of fact, it might have been bad strategy. Maybe he thought, if he was a chess player, he would be thinking a couple of moves in ahead, that if he bit me, I would lose my temper, I would come at him, and he could time me. Of course, he was not that good of a fighter. He wasn't thinking that far ahead. But
he knew he was losing, so he was going to
that's
break
pretty
the
much
rules.
what
Yeah.
he did. He bit my
He
ear.
broke
But,
rules.
I don't know anybody nobody ever got knocked out by a bite in the ear. Like when Tyson bit Holyfield, he basically knew he was going to be disqualified. It's kind of like a coward's way out to me.
Yeah.
Rather than let Holyfield knock him out, he got disqualified, got kicked out of the fight. So, the guy that bit me, it wasn't because he's winning. The guy who's winning doesn't do the biting.
No, they don't.
Right?
They're not going to do anything to
So,
blow up.
yeah, I was winning, and I end up knocking him out, basically. But that, I will say, yeah, I had probably a certain amount of animosity towards him at the time because I got bit. But anytime a guy follows the rules, no matter how difficult the fight is, I have respect for them, and I've never had any feelings of animosity towards any of my opponents. We've become very close friends. I would say 95% of all the guys I've fought, we've become friends.
It's interesting because that is the male way. Usually women, once they fight, they are not friends.
Well, you know, people that a man normally throws a punch at another man in regular, everyday life, only out of anger. Right? I mean, normally they get mad, they throw a punch. For me, it was the sport that I love. So it's a sport. It's
okay.
My friends and I used to go out and we'd spar for fun. I mean, it would be a fun thing. I wouldn't hit them hard. They wouldn't hit me hard. Sparring friends, yeah, that's still easy for me because then we both go light. I only meant it's difficult for me balancing if I'm sparring another professional who I don't know, and you know, he's going to have an ego, and he's going to want to test himself and see how good he is. So he's going to be throwing some things hard at me. So I can either choose to go 100% and really try to deck him, or I could pull back a little bit. Now, I got to pull back, but how much do I pull back? Enough for him to maybe hit me, then it's dangerous for me. It's a dangerous thing to have two grown men trying to punch and kick each other in the head.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to balance your own safety against your better judgment not to hurt the other guy. If I opened up and I just tried to clock him on the chin, I would be knocking guys out in the gym. And that's not safe. You know, that's not very healthy. I mean, knocking your sparring partners out.
One of my favorite spectator sports is hockey. And, you know, the old saying, I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out.
Yeah.
But, of course...
Well, those guys are losing their tempers then. They're hitting out of anger. And it's not part of the sport, really. They're supposed to be hitting the little puck on the thing. And that's a different thing. Those are professional fighters. Professional fighters don't behave like hockey players. I mean, you know, our punching is well... You know, this is what we do.
It's precision. You know what you're doing, and you've trained for it. And like you say, it's like a chess game. You know, you're going to throw this, and you expect them to throw that. One hockey game in particular is one of the sweetest guys I've ever met, a guy named Matt Odette. He's like 6'5", 6'6". But if you made Matt mad, and he was left-handed, and he started slugging this other hockey player, and somewhere in the middle of we counted them, 13 punches, he managed to grab the guy's helmet and pull it off and then go in for the punch again. It was just like, oh my gosh. But like you say, trained fighter's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, I've never... If I get hit in the face, it's nothing that my opponent did wrong. It's what he's supposed to be doing, right? It's something I did wrong. I obviously didn't block it. So if he hits me in the face, I'm going to get mad at him? No, he's doing things right. I made a mistake, and that's why I got hit. So, as a professional fighter, you know, people don't understand that some people think, "Oh, Don likes getting hit."
No,
I hate getting hit.
Nobody likes getting hit.
No. For me, I look at it purely as a sport. I have target areas. He's trying to hit them. He has target areas. I'm trying to hit them. And when the bell rings and the fight's over, we're friends. Violence begins in the mind. It's like you can be violent and just be talking to somebody because you can say really mean, hurtful, spiteful things. So you don't have to physically touch somebody. Violence is more mental. Now, if it's mental and it translates into physical, well then you'll see people punching and hurting each other physically. But the violence starts in the mind. And when I have a professional fight, there's no violent thought in my mind. No. I look at them as a target, and you know, and I played football, and I wasn't violent. I just, you know, it was just a guy in a uniform. I don't even know the people, right? You don't even meet the opposing team. How could you have any animosity for them? You know, it's actually illogical that a boxer's got to hate every guy he steps in the ring with.
Oh no!
I mean, but there are guys like Mike Tyson who used to act like that before his fights. he used to say bad stuff about the person and his family and his kids and just he
Your
would
mama.
yeah, whatever, your mama. But you know, I'm not saying everybody thinks like me. This is just me in particular. Now there are fighters that are violent. There are fighters who try to win by headbutting and hitting low, and there's all kinds of fighters will cheat. And I'm sure certain in other sports a lot of that goes on as well. But I mean, this is not the way I'd looked at the sport. You know, if I can win, I want to win by the rules, not because I headbutted the guy.
You know, oftentimes certain people have a certain look where they're always cast as a bad guy.
Oh yeah. There's no doubt about that. I mean, certain guys, they walk in the door and I go, bad guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I guess it was Carl Van Meter said normally he's got a really interesting look, but I said you could just put a couple devil horns on you and you'd look like the devil himself. And he said he was purposely cast in the martial arts kid as a good guy.
Yeah, he's one of my instructors at my school. You know, I wasn't involved in the casting, but I like that. I like going against the type sometimes. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's creative casting. You know, you just don't follow like a cookie cutter. You know, there's not like a rule book on how to cast and how to direct and how to write scripts and whatever. This is a very subjective, creative process, making a film. And it's 100 people from the start to finish before it's all done. You know, I mean, the cast, the crew, the editors, music people, I mean, just right down to the salespeople, because they got to develop the trailer. You can have a great movie, but if the trailer's crummy, it's going to hurt the sales. And the poster, all that artwork and everything, that can help sell or hold back a good movie. Whenever I used to do, quote, love scenes, there's no love.
Oh, I've seen them.
They're sexy. Well,
I've seen them.
Mine are the absolute worst. I'm just being on the set in my underwear, and the actress, who I don't really know, really, is naked. Yeah. She might be wearing a G-string, but not all of them did. But I'm uncomfortable. There's nothing sexy, and I'm not saying I'm having a bad time, but it's not having the good time you think. It's not what you think. No, because a closed set is still a sound guy, makeup artist, it's the DP, the director, script supervisor. There's still people in the room, 6 people or something. You know, it's not 45 or 75, but it is a closed set is still a bunch of other people. And the director, 9 times out of 10, what they like to do is turn the sound off because they're going to run music. And he says, "Okay, now Dawn, now move your right arm. Okay, now move the hair out of her face. Now kiss her over by her ear." And that's what I'm doing is let's like by the numbers. Yeah. Right, I'm doing what the guy's telling me to do. Yeah. And that's not comfortable. I did one love scene. Now listen to this. And this actress, Athena Massey, and I were signing autographs like 2 weeks ago in LA at an event. And she was right across from me. But during the love scene, her mother was visiting her on the set. She didn't know that was the day of the love scene. So her mother is on the set. And my current wife, was my makeup artist at that time. And she was my girlfriend. So I've got my girlfriend and the mother of the actress on the set doing a love scene. I disavow any fault for that love scene being the absolute worst thing you could possibly ever imagine. I had a director once who asked me if I was against rear nudity, and I said, "Excuse me?" He goes, "Well, he wanted to put in a scene where I'm in a whirlpool and I reach to get a towel, and then you see my butt." And I looked at him and I said, "You know what?" I said, "No." I said, "They pay to see me kick butt, not to see my butt." he didn't like that. I didn't work with that director again after that movie, but anyway, yeah, he wanted me to, because I think Van Damme had shown his rear in one of his movies or something. So this director, for some reason, he was thinking, well, he's going to do the movie where you want to see the dragon's rear end. He's going to reach for a towel. Yeah, well, it's not out there. Nobody wants to see my rear end.
Yeah, I haven't had to do, and I probably wouldn't do. Well, depending on how much they were willing to pay and who the actor.
Well, I can be bought. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I can. I'm a mercenary after all. I fought for 28 years.
But we pay to see your butt. Oh
Well,
my
the
goodness.
Hollywood producers say that my movies are not really for women. They're made for
Guys.
young urban ethnic males. That was
Okay.
the demographic, young urban ethnic males. That's the hardcore fan base. Now maybe some older guys will watch it, and some women will watch it if their boyfriends make them or whatever. But generally, it's not the
They
young.
don't want to see your butt. They want to see the girl.
Of course,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
It's young teenage ethnic urban audience.
Hmm.
Male audience. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I hope I'm not giving anything away, but I understand you're making a new vampire movie.
Yes, Blood Raid is. I got the first draft of the script, and Art Camacho is going to direct it, and we're going to have a meeting this week about the rewrite, and because it takes a while to get the finished script. But it's already good enough, and we have enough faith in it. We've sent it to some investors to see what kind of money, because the range of amount of money we're going to get dictates what kind of film you can make. You can make a certain kind of money or film with a certain kind of money. But it's a one location shoot, kind of like Die Hard. It'll be in one building, and it's action all the way through. And I think my audience is going to like it. I think it's what they like from me, R-rated hardcore action.
I saw your first vampire movie, Night Hunter.
Oh, 900. Yep, yep.
You had a very
Different look for me. That was my twin sister.
No, I love that hair. Is your hair naturally curly?
That was my hair. Yeah, that was
Oh
my
my
hair.
gosh.
When it gets down this long, yeah, it
It's
goes all
curly.
over the place. I told
Wow.
people it's like having an animal living on your head. Someday the animal's agreeable. Someday the animal's not in a good mood. It was having a creature, but the director wanted real hair.
Yeah.
And so he didn't want hair extensions. He said, "You got all this action." He said, "I wanted to just let it grow." He said, "I'll wait." So after I signed to do the movie, we waited until it was at the length he wanted, and then we shot the film.
You've been told that you look like
Yes,
that? Yeah.
I've many times. But listen, Lou Diamond Phillips is Filipino.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize it. So and they're like
He's mixed. He's like Scottish, American Indian, Filipino.
well, he's mixed.
Everything.
Well, so I used to have a little convertible Mercedes, and I used to drive it around, and people would go, Lou, Lou, Lou. So finally, I just got tired of denying it. I just go, La Bamba, and I just drive on. So I quit even, I actually saw Lou at a charity event. Didn't talk to him, though, because I don't know him.
Mm-hmm.
We have mutual acquaintances, but I've never met him, but I hear nothing but good things about him. He seems to be a great guy, and I, of course, love his work as an actor. But yeah, I was... When I had long hair, he had long hair. Then he cut his hair. I cut my hair, and so we're like chasing each other. We haven't worked together in anything. I think he's doing a TV series now. I think he's doing a TV show.
There is so much on television now with all the.
Well, there's more
options.
channels
Yeah,
now for
all
one
the
thing.
channels. My
I
gosh.
remember the day there were 3 stations.
Yeah. Oh, I do
it was
too.
a rare thing to have your own series, but now it's. I'm offered things regularly now, and if the right thing, there have been a couple of projects that I considered doing, but I really don't know TV. I don't even watch TV really. I don't watch.
We don't have time. If you make movies, if you make television shows, you don't have the time. I've got the on-demand. So
a lot of people do that, and they do the TiVo and things, but I don't do that. There's no shows I'm so into that I want to tape them or whatever. I just I know the lower budget independent film business, and that's kind of my retirement business. If I do a TV series someday, I'll learn that business like Chuck did. Chuck was like with me,
you
and then
were on one of
learned.
his.
Well, one of the last ones, he called me up and asked me to appear in it because they were wrapping the show up, and he wanted to have me in one episode. He was just, he at the time he was going to come back to live in Tarzana, and I live in West Woodland Hills, so we're right next to each other. So I know he knew we'd be seeing each other, and I guess he didn't want me to think, well, Chuck never even had me in his show for 8 years. So but I appreciated it because it was fun. It was me and Bill Wallace, Joe Lewis, Chuck Norris. Just a lot of friends on the set.
We're going to try to get you to come to Fresno
Yeah,
and
I'd like
teach
to come
us.
to Fresno and teach. I enjoy teaching. You know,
Oh, that
it's
would be great.
it's fun for me. I like it, and I feel it's one of the things like giving back to the martial arts. I
Mm-hmm.
did fight, so I learned a lot about punching and kicking and not getting punched and kicked. So I teach. What people ask me, what do you teach? I said, I teach the things I wish somebody would have taught me.
Oh, that's great.
And I learned through the school of hard knocks. The way I learned how to block right hands is by getting hit in the chin with the right hands. I learned how to. I learned how to defend myself against strikes and to utilize strikes to, I knocked out 48 professional fighters. And that's
Wow.
not guys on the street. Those are like really skilled
Yeah.
athletes. And so I do know how to knock people unconscious. And so that's what I teach. I teach how not to get punched and kicked and how to, at the same time, be able to punch and kick somebody that you're fighting. So it's practical martial arts. It's not trying to turn traditional martial artists into kickboxers. It's just the kickboxing lessons I learned. I try to teach it to martial artists and they can use it for their self-defense.
There's a gentleman in Fresno, Junior Korea, that puts on several these fights during the year. It's called PAC, and then the number PAC 10, PAC 11, PAC stands for punch and kick.
Oh, okay.
And so it's really popular in Fresno. So if we can get you to come and teach a seminar,
Yeah.
I'm sure we can fill the room. It's just a matter
Sure.
of finding a big enough venue.
hmm
So,
Well,
but-
look, if you have a seminar in it, the best thing is we got so many people we don't know where to do it. You just have two of them. I'll just come teach one 2 to 4, and then come teach another one 6 to 8, or in
Yep.
other words, we can separate it because it's always better to have beginners and the intermediates in one than maybe advanced in another,
Okay.
because I can teach it at different levels of skill, different
Mhm.
skill. So if they're white belts and they're kids and things, when beginners, that'd be one class, and then if they're amateurs, good athletes, young, healthy martial artists, even pros, I can teach a separate seminar. So we could work it that way, and be like a 1-day thing, and next day I'd fly back to LA.